Hey there. So if you're in a school, that means that you have children inside of your school. If there are children inside of your school, then there are going to be um, not concerns, because I don't like using the word concerns, but there's going to be developmental milestones that different kids are going to reach at different times. And because of that, there's going to be moments where teachers are going to need to have conversations with families. Okay. This is a regular, normal part of running a school. So you have a teacher who's been documenting concerns for weeks, right? And they've tried different strategies inside of the classroom to work with a particular child. And you start to see certain patterns emerge. And it's like really difficult to ignore these patterns. And you go to the teacher like, okay, you need to have this conversation with the family, right? And the teacher sits across and says, we want to share some things about your child and kind of what's going on. And if you've ever led a conversation like this, like you understand the weight of this, okay? This is not just another meeting, okay? This is a family who maybe for the first time in their life is hearing something about their precious child, their diamond, their apple of their eye, that their child might need some support or some additional resources than they originally thought or they originally realized. Now, those stakes are pretty high, okay? Especially if you're dealing with new parents, with young families, or if you're even dealing with like older parents, right? Who this child is their youngest kid and they've, dealt with it a million times before. They have whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Every time you're going into a parent conversation about their child, about developmental milestones or about concerns, the stakes are high. You care about the child, you care about the family, they care about their kid, they want to keep their kid in this school, right? And you know what happens like in those rooms. And what you say determines, will the parent trust you? Will the family take action? Will the child receive the support that they need? Will the teacher get relief in the classroom of what they're dealing with? Will the classroom have more stability and predictability? But a lot of leaders walk into these meetings winging it, scattered notes, and a hope and a prayer. And the reason that leaders improvise such important conversations is not because they don't care, okay? Like you're relying on memory and instinct for one of the most emotionally charged conversations in a parent's journey. And you start talking. So you're like, no, I've done this so many times. Like I could rely on this or whatever. Or even like a young teacher, right? Who's like, I've done this before. I could I could rely on it or whatever it is. And then the parent looks at you and they're like, why are you telling me this? Like they're only 3 years old or they're just really shy or, I don't know, they don't do this at home. Or isn't that normal? And then the director or whoever's leading the conversation starts losing their footing, right? The parent made a counter argument. And now you're like, I don't know what to do, right? So then you start over explaining. And then you get pulled into debating what happened last Tuesday at 4 o'clock at circle time instead of the facts that are in front of you. And then you get quietly pulled away from what you actually know is true. And you're like, that teacher just doesn't have enough confidence. They don't have enough conviction. No, they don't have a structure for running the conversation. This is why I created the Parent Meeting Playbook. I created this parent meeting playbook with a child psychologist from the NYU Child Study Center based out of New York City. And we created the training and then I turned that into a playbook. This is before the days of AI, where I took her training and turned it into a repeatable framework, okay, where now you have a framework of like, how do I separate data from anecdotes? How do I actually explain my concerns following clear objectives? How do I validate a parent's fear without becoming emotionally entangled and enmeshed in their fear? How do I binge recommendations for next steps with confidence and clarity and give reassurance and calmness to the parent? How do I follow up and make sure that action is being taken without feeling like I'm chasing the family? Okay. One of the most powerful parts of this framework is that it takes the conversation out of opinion and into calmly explaining, right? It's not just like, I have a feeling, or this is no, the behavior is reoccurring more than is developmentally appropriate. It is more severe than expected, and it's interfering with your child's ability to function and learn. That's one example from the playbook. Okay. Because what happens is you need to stop arguing and negotiating in real time in the conversation. You need to stop second guessing yourself. and start guiding the family through reality with clarity, with compassion, with kindness, with grace. Parent meetings are way too important to just wing it. When the emotional stakes are high, structure and a framework is a form of care. So if you've ever lost sleep over a parent meeting, or you have teachers who need better structure on how to run parent meetings so that you don't need to constantly run all the parent meetings. That is why I created the Parent Meeting Playbook. It is included in the Staff Culture Infrastructure Vault. You could go to schoolsofexcellence.com/Vault. You can comment Vault, and I'll send you the details. The Parent Meeting Playbook is a step-by-step guide that you can give a teacher when she needs to prepare for a meeting, right? You don't need to give them this tool to teachers who know how to run parent meetings, right? This is why I don't like generic trainings, right? Like we need trainings that you can deploy to specific teachers in specific moments and specific seasons that make sense for them right now. So you might have 3 teachers right now. You're like, you know what? They have parent meetings coming up. I need to give them this playbook. Great. Then you take the playbook, you download it, you print it, and you give it to those 3 teachers. In 3 months from now, you might have 2 other teachers who are struggling with it. Great. You download it, you print it out, and you give it to them, right? You don't need to binge everyone through all this stuff. They're not going to remember it anyways. You need to deploy it when it's needed and relevant. That is why you need Infrastructure Vault, because in that vault, you have an entire library of all different resources that you can deploy as needed during different seasons, and you have access to it forever. It's lifetime access to these resources. There is a one-time investment for lifetime access to this entire training vault. Comment Vault for more information.